Okay, Tito, I'm going to try to interview you, but like something magical just happened. And that is because we discovered that we're kind of like birthday twins, right? So if you divulge the year, I'll divulge my year. So go for it. So your birthday is June 2nd of what year, Tito?
My birthday is June 2nd, 1971. I'm 51 years
Okay.
old.
And my birthday is June 3rd of 1965. So I'm just a wink older than you. But what's so funny is that we were having this great conversation about how creative people roll, right? And I wanted to say to you, I'm like, gosh, he sounds like me. I bet he's a Gemini. And before I ever got it out of my mouth, you confirmed it's true. So now it's going to be
Yes.
fun because now when June rolls around, we can kind of sing happy birthday to each other. Like,
Yes.
midnight to 12:01, I'll be calling you. But I'm so glad that you're joining us. So, wow, what a beautiful career that you have had, I guess almost since infancy, because you're the son of your dad. And I don't know if they gave you like knives and forks to play with and spoons and you just started like, chopping out a beat. But tell us at what age you realized that you had the rhythm inside of your body.
Wow. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Being the son of Tito Puente has its good and its bads. Um, First and foremost, my father was an incredible drummer, and as a child, he was very prolific in his percussion playing, and he did that a lot at home, in our home in Rockland County. And they say when you're a young kid, as parents, don't touch my stuff. And what do we do as kids? We go and we start touching the things of our parents, whether it be cooking utensils or instruments or piano or bass or conga piano or timbale. So my father had a garage full of percussion instruments, and therefore I ran into the garage and started playing at a very young age. I was probably around maybe 8 or 9 years old, and started whacking on some drums. But I'm a trap kit drummer first and foremost. That's how I learned how to play percussion. I like rock drumming. I never cared for mambo music like my father played before me. But Tito Puente was, if those who don't know, Tito Puente was the king of Latin music and a prolific, avid marimba timbal player, and played 13 different instruments, and was considered the king of mambo music and the king of Latin music worldwide from his vast catalog and, of course, his innovative music that he created back in the 1940s and 50s. So there you go. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. As I gravitated towards the music, I travel with him, and I got that clave rhythm, and that's when I started playing quote unquote Latin music.
So your entire household, though, you have had talented siblings and other people. Like you had longevity of your ancestors and your grandparents, and like there must have been so much fun and so much love and so much just wild energy in your household growing up. I mean, did you guys ever sleep, or was it always like music going on? What was that like growing up?
In my household was a lot of music and a lot of entertaining, and friends and family coming over, and celebrities, and it was really something special for me. Hopefully, one day I'll write a book and I can tell you all about it, the good and the bad. There was never any ugly in our home. There was always pleasantries and fun and music and entertainment, and it was great. And my sister Audrey, who's a meteorologist in New York, she was never got into the music thing, but she was great growing up with her. And then my brother Ronnie, who was our older brother from my father's first marriage, he would come over weekly and celebrate the life and legacy of dad all the time. And he's a musician in his own right. And it was just wonderful being his son and remembering the great spirit that he left in our home. And of course, in New York and then the tri-state area, he was very well known as very popularized by the New York City Latin music community and the music community and its in general, in New York especially, simply because Tito Puente was born and raised in Spanish Harlem, New York, in humble beginnings on 110th Street, in which that street is named after him now. And he became what we call, Donna, the Puerto Rican Jeffersons. We went from Spanish Harlem, New York, and we moved up to Rockland County. So as my father's success grew, our family grew, and it was really something special. And again, it was cherished moments in time that my father left on this world for us children, his children, to really look back in retrospect and honor it. And we will do that with a documentary series on the life and legacy of my father, Tito Puente. And of course, hopefully I'll write a book and tell you all about the fun times and the zany. I would call it zany times of Tito Puente's life.
So one of the things I want to talk about too is, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I grew up and I didn't speak Spanish or whatever, but like Santana. So, you know, in the song and everything, I make up my own words, you know? So, you know, da, 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 you know, and I love all the music, but I could never really understand what they said until I got older. And then I was like, oh, that's what that means.
I do not know Spanish myself. I didn't know growing up simply because I was born and raised in New York City. So I had to learn Spanish and I had to go to school for it and kind of learn the street slang of Spanish. And my father, of course, was very fluent in Spanish, but he spoke more English than anything else because he was born in New York City as well. And same with most of my family. We are English speaking. And traveling with Tito Puente and seeing him in concert, that's how I kind of honed in and learned a little bit more of my Spanish roots and the history of Spanish and, of course, the language itself through the lyrics of Tito Puente music. But when we travel, and even till today, after 23 years after my father's passing and me performing his music around the world, I still find that people understand the language of the rhythm section
Yes.
of the orchestra, which is the conga and the bongo. That's what people come to see Tito Puente for, to hear that rhythm, to make them dance. I'm not really too sure if they're considered too much about the lyrical content of what Tito Puente displays in his songs. Most of them are very simplified and in more like a chant and repeat type of tune, like Oye Como Va and Mambo Gosong and Ran Can Can, which is the sound of really the timbale drum. So there isn't really too much to learn as far as being
Words.
perspective of the music of Tito Puente, except that the rhythm is really what drives people to come to the concerts and really makes you move to his music.
It does. It makes you move completely. And when you were talking about dancing, so Dancing with the Stars, you actually played. You brought the whole kit. What was that like to see them dancing with all their beautiful costumes and, you know?
Very, very exciting to be a part of a great show like Dancing with the Stars. And God rest our very good friend Len, who just recently passed a couple of days ago. He was a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. My friend Cheryl Burke, who's one of the trainers and one of the people that have been there from the beginning of Dancing with the Stars. She was a very big Tito Puente fan and still is till today. And she asked if I could participate in the show and a tribute to my father, which I did. And that was very, very exciting. Right after that, they asked me to be a contestant on the show. And I told them I have 2 left feet, so I can't beat Jerry Springer. And that was the end of that part of my career.
I don't know how that, I really honestly do not know how that's possible, because if you just take a moment, Tito, and you think about having sticks in your hands, right? But now you just think that your left foot and your right foot are the sticks, and you just play the beat with your feet, that's dancing.
Donna, tell that to my wife. Yeah. Tell it to my wife and my children, simply because I have 2 left feet. I can't dance. And that's kind of funny because it would have been hilarious. Me as a contestant on Dancing with the Stars, the son of the King of Mambo will probably, bail out on week number 1. Because my rhythm is very poor as far as dancing skills. But when I play the cowbell, I can play the cowbell very, very good on time. And of course, my percussion playing, I try to keep the timing is what's really important. But yeah, it was a great experience being on the show.
Besides the fact that your birthday's on June 2nd and mine's on June 3rd, the engineers were like, ask him about the 100th birthday. So yes, you have this, he would have been, your dad would have been 100 years old, right? So let's talk about what you're doing special to celebrate his birthday.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. It was last week, April 20th, 2023 would have been Tito Puente's 100th birthday, his centennial. And with that, we wanted to do a bunch of different concerts this entire year. So we want to celebrate the entire year of Tito Puente, his music, his legacy, his life, with a slew of concerts. We did our first one in Puerto Rico, the island where he comes from, and that was wonderful. And it was great to see the fans come out and celebrate Tito Puente. We are going to do a big concert in New York as well, in the Bronx at Lehman College on Saturday, May 20th, along with some of the orchestra that my father worked with, and of course, some of the greatest timbal players of our generation, Endo El Dueño, Nicky Marrero, Orete Vilato, a lot of great old school percussion players and new school dancers, musicians, and it's a concert that's really going to show the graphics that we're going to have up of movies and old school stuff of Tito Puente, where people can come learn about Tito Puente, the history of Tito Puente, and what he really meant and the impact that he left on American music. And that's something that everybody can be entertained with and enjoy on Saturday, May 20th at Lehman College. It's at the Lehman Center for Performing Arts, and you go to lehmancenter.org. And check it out. It's in New York City. It's in our hometown of the Bronx. You can see I'm wearing a Yankee outfit. I'm a Bronx boy. I love the Bronx. I love going home to the Bronx. And it's nice that we can celebrate the 100th centennial of the King of Latin Music in New York City, where he was born and raised.
You mentioned something that you're going to write a book about. You said that there was always something in your dad's fridge. What was that? Give us a little sample.
That's a very good question. Dad used to eat. A lot of people don't know this, and I'm probably the only one that knows this, along with my sister, of course, and my mother. But my father was an avid cottage cheese and cherry eater. So he would put cherries in the middle of the night when he come home from a gig, maybe after the Copacabana or wherever he performed at in New York City. And he would come home, throw on his robe, and we would find cottage cheese in the morning, like a little rat, and it would be all over the floor because he didn't mist his mouth all the time. And maybe he had a little too much to drink that night, but he would always eat cottage cheese and cherries. And it was funny because we would find, cherry juice on the floor and cottage cheese and maybe a spoon in the sink. And that was the Tito Puente little meal. I guess back then the theory was eating cottage cheese in the middle of the night, you could lose weight or something like that, or it was good for your health. But that's something Tito really enjoyed. And my father was a very avid grapefruit eater and drinker too. He liked grapefruit juice. And I guess that was synonymous to elderly people as well. But Tito Puente was a very big grapefruit juice drinker and eater. He would make us buy all these melons from back then. I think we were going to ShopRite, and we buy all these melons and cut them up. And he'd be like, cut up the grapefruit, so when I get home I can eat it. And there would be just empty grapefruits everywhere in the garbage.
I love that. Happy birthday to your dad on his 100th birthday. We're reaching up to the heavens. I did notice a couple of times that the electric, when we were interviewing, kind of blinked, so that must have been your dad. But happiness to you. Wish you all the best. Thank you, Tito Puente Jr.